Thanks for tuning in to the Marvel Movie Minute.
Want to skip those pesky ads and get early access?
Become a member at truestory.fm/join and discover all the other great perks that come with it.
Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a weekly podcast in which we assemble to explore the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe 5 minutes at a time. In this, our 9th season, we're looking at Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I'm Matthew, here to make sure my co-hosts keep their feet off the dash.
And I'm Pete Wright, with his feet on the dash.
And I'm Kyle Olsen, just happy to have been invited along.
And today we're talking about minutes 56 through 60, which begins with unsavory people getting out of a car and ends with Steve Rogers having fond memories of sleepaway camp. Friends, did either of you go to sleepaway camp?
Once.
Seriously.
And that was enough.
Oh, you weren't a fan of it. No. I went on sleepaway horse camp. It was a 7-week engagement where I just rode horses and camped. It was awesome. I hated every bit of it.
Now, do you think if you went back to the campsite and there was a new building in a different place, would you recognize it?
No, I would not recognize it. One of the great moments of this thing, to be 1,000 years old and recognize the buildings and the distances from things. Thanks, Cap.
We start with a couple of unsavory characters getting out of the car. And I think these are new people, right? We've not seen either of these two particular individuals.
I think they're part of Crossbone's sort of extended SHIELD strike team.
Right.
But I haven't been paying as much attention to the third guy on the right. So we might have seen them in the earlier stuff. But
it sort of makes sense that we see some of the B team now, because I do think most of the A team is currently in the hospital. A discussion we will get to in a few moments. But so we do that and then we jump to the Apple Store scene.
Yeah.
I want to start with a question.
All right.
So we're plugging this thing into the Apple Store computer. And then Natasha runs a trace program. I don't think that trace program exists on the Apple. It definitely doesn't exist on the disk itself or the USB thing. So is this downloadable from the cloud?
That was my thought, that somehow she did a remote connection into a SHIELD server and they got that piece of software to run on this.
Okay.
Because they are getting to the internet because they're looking through all the things and pulling up the maps and to...
I'm surprised you guys...
That was how
I didn't know that you guys didn't have that app. It's a standard on my setup. Always.
Because I'm just saying, I have tried to download things onto computers that were not my own, such as in hotels and the like, and that is not an easy process. So
no.
This has got some super getting past security things.
No, it just shows how open Apple is, that you can just come into their stores, work on their computers, download anything you want, and they're like, no, it's fine as long as you're using a Mac.
You know, for a long time, it was exactly like that. They didn't have demo mode.
That's true.
I mean, you could just go, and people were notorious for running their cars through the plate glass front doors and stealing stuff because you really could do whatever you wanted. That's been fixed.
Well, and we know now that you can't just get away with anything because people like Aaron, or at least the person who was Aaron, are going to be there and are going to be on the case. And I want to take a diversion here for a minute because Aaron is played by DC Pierson. Was DC Pierson someone who popped up on either of your radar screens?
Yes. DC Pierson, he is from Phoenix, Arizona, where I currently reside. He has 82 credits on IMDb. The reason he is here is because he is part of Derrick Comedy, which is a group, I don't think they do much today anymore, with Mr. Donald Glover. So through that, he got a role on Community, and thus we have another Community connection. So the Russos showing their roots and bringing more people from Community over into the MCU.
And for those who are wondering where they saw him on Community, he had much shorter hair, but he played a character named Mark Millett, who you only saw, you might remember from one of these in particular. One was he was a journalist at the Greendale Gazette that Jeff Winger took over for a short period of time. I don't know why, but I'm guessing to impress some woman. But probably more memorably, he was a member of the Greendale Guffaws, the group that Pierce hired to help him write jokes that he would use at Abed's movie night. So DC Pierson, we salute you for your contribution to this movie.
And for getting out of Phoenix as the weather's going up. He's currently residing in Brooklyn, according to his website.
Yeah.
So he is also, like our own Pete D. Wright, he is a published author.
What?
It's true.
What has he written?
He's written a couple of young adult novels.
Okay. Links in the show notes, everybody.
Links in the show notes.
We'll get those links somehow.
And also check out Mystery Team, which is a movie that he made with Donald Glover and the third member of Derrick Comedy, who I forgot to write down the name of. Is a very funny sort of adult spoof of Scooby-Doo and sort of the teen detectives, what happens when they get into their mid-20s and don't really know how to function.
That sounds worth seeing. So here, among other things, we introduce what is going to be a running gag for these 5 minutes of Steve and Natasha hiding in plain sight by pretending to be a couple.
The Marvel disguise.
The Marvel disguise. New Jersey is clearly not a honeymoon destination, but I think Aaron has probably enjoyed some herbal relaxation to help him with his work at the Apple store. But then we see Rumlow's new team. And we do see Rumlow.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was going to say, why is it that no one on Rumlow's team has a scratch on them? And I realized that was incorrect. Rumlow has like a little bruise over one eye. And at least one of the team members with him has like a scrape on the side of his face. Let me remind you, Steve had knocked all of them unconscious, or at least into painful writhing on the floor less than 3 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why are these people all concussed? Is this worse? Is S.H.I.E.L.D. worse than the NFL?
It is a movie concussion.
Why are they not all in the hospital with broken limbs? We saw how violent that elevator got. How is this team perfectly fine?
Yeah. They put on that thing that Hollywood has, like they put the little bandage over on their forehead, and like after a couple hours, then they're totally fine. They're healed up and ready to go.
Movie time, movie injury.
Okay, fair enough.
That's right. No bullets, so therefore you can just shrug it off, right?
I'm just always going to be the person here being like, wait a minute, there's some more serious injuries and possibly death. Like we didn't even talk about if there were any potential deaths in that elevator, but
Matthew, I need to ask just to you, given your affinity for East Coast, specifically you as a New Yorker, I noticed you haven't made any New Jersey jokes yet, and it seems like the movie wants to make New Jersey jokes.
New Jersey is a joke. What joke is there to make about it?
Okay, there we are. Hey, it's
there it is. It's all right. We got to get one in here, right?
Look, New York and Philadelphia would fight, so they sat some bullshit in the middle of it. It's pretty simple. Anyway, so
let them fight.
They start walking through. I mean, Princeton is nice.
Yeah.
So there's also some interesting traveling here because as they're here at the Apple store, they are in the Topanga Plaza in Topanga, California. But when they step out, they are in the Tower City Center Mall in Cleveland. So they travel that entire distance and just walking through that doorway. So movie magic.
Cleveland, city of lights, city of magic.
Cleveland rocks.
It does. All right. So they start walking through the mall, and Steve has this moment where he identifies the ambush tactics being used. And he talks about, all right, there's a team of 2, et cetera. Is that believable from a soldier?
That is, I think, a really good question, because the last couple of episodes we've been talking about where Steve's strengths lie, and one of them being not being the spy has been kind of the anchor we've been, tied to. And here he is. Why is he the one discovering the positions?
I think it goes along with, first of all, he has a tactical mind, so he can see that. But also, these are literally the people he's been working with. Like this, he has been working with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Rumlow specifically for, whatever X amount of time, like the year, whatever, too. He probably has been trained on standard S.H.I.E.L.D. Whatever their methods for going through this stuff. And Rumlow seems to be following the exact pattern that they had all been taught, which Cap knows. So it just which goes to show more how Rumlow's kind of a lunkhead. Like,
shake it up,
do the
man.
same thing right. Try something different. But
okay, that's fair. And I do really like that in the next couple lines, we see that, again, Natasha is the better spy because his reaction is still, let's fight it out. And she's like, no, we can hide. We can hide in plain sight by using this, human psychology about not wanting to look at PDAs.
Well,
and stuff like that.
I actually love this, is specifically bouncing off of the fact that they've all been trained on the 2x2 standard snake, the upper level, blah, blah, blahs. But no one's been told, hey, your targets might kiss.
And be wearing glasses.
Right. And be wearing glasses. Yeah. Right. Like that is that's one of the tropiest of tropes. Now, here's why they get away with it. Because it's Natasha and Steve. Because we wouldn't, it is we as the audience are being played by our own emotional sensibilities of just kind of loving the fan fiction for 2 minutes of what it would be like for Natasha and Steve to make it. It's all it is. It is as tropey as it can be, but they do. It's good.
I think it just leans into their strengths, though. Like as Cap is running and even planning like where their attack is going to be. Like he's literally telling her, we're going to converge at this location and stuff too. But she has a completely different set of skills and then puts them to use. Like, oh no, here's how we're actually going to do this. And so she then takes the lead, and Cap is smart enough to follow.
He's pretty confused, but he at least is willing to go along with it. And it was funny. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I saw a lot of the ads for this movie, and this kiss was featured in a lot of those ads.
Yes.
And I remember thinking going into it, like, are they really going to give us a romance between these two characters? That doesn't feel right. And so when I saw, oh, okay, so the teaser was literally a teaser. You set that up, and then actually the kiss is not a genuine kiss. I definitely had kind of an eye roll, like, okay, so you did that for the trailer. Got it. Fair enough. Move on.
Because it works. I mean, it works. There's nothing about it that doesn't work. I'm in. I'm a sucker.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to see then. I love that little the exchange between them too. Like, she says, "Are you still uncomfortable?" And he says, "That's not the word I would use."
Yeah, we're still, it's just a lovely, there's a flirt hole they're digging, and it just, at some point, they have to stop. They have to stop flirting because it's just getting more serious.
I assume on the run, they will have to stop in a hotel, and there'll only be one bed.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also, though, just one more great illustration of how different their comfort levels are with this, because the implication is like, Steve was just told this is a fake out specifically for this reason. I'm not kissing you for the reasons why pretty girls normally kiss pretty boys, but still he has the reaction of being kissed by a very attractive woman. Whereas I think her clearly is just like, this was business. This is why I did this. She doesn't have that.
You don't think she had a little of that? You don't think she was a little bit, she was in control, definitely, but.
Actually, I do want to talk more about sort of their relationship as we get sort of into the truck. Because that's sort of where things get much more intimate. Yeah, exactly. Go right from there, and now they're in, and it's an odd transition shot too. That's one of the weird things. It's like you see the "Welcome to New Jersey" sign, and then you see like a truck with two cars on the flatbed. And my assumption was they were going to be in one of the cars. Like that's like night and day, like the movie. It's a easy way to transport because you're in the car, but you're not driving. And it goes away, and we see a truck, and then we follow the truck back, and we end back on the sign. I don't understand what the point of that was. Why didn't we start on the road with the truck and then see the sign and then cut it? I don't know why we needed the swish pan.
Yeah, it's not like they needed to pad the movie. It was a really weird pan. I totally agree.
Because we know we're gonna talk about scenes that should not have been deleted that were deleted, further on down the line.
And just to your question, Pete, I guess I did take it as that she doesn't have any interest in him, or at least certainly not in that moment, because we know all the stuff that will later be established in her movie. We don't know, but we know that she went to some kind of a sparrow school. We know that she's specifically been trained. One of the specific spy techniques she was trained is how to seduce men in order to get information from them. So I think, to me, I take that as like, she's just very used to, I'm going to kiss someone for a reason that has nothing to do with my own interests, attractiveness. And that's very different than, the longing looks I'm going to give, not Bruce, Bruce at one point, and all the others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There is just something about the fire and ice of their relationship that I find intriguing, again, from a fan fiction perspective, I guess, which just is like, I sort of want her to get just a little bit sort of titillated from the act of kissing Captain America. Like, she gets to have that, right? I'm pro titillation. That's, I guess, I'm team titillation.
Well, and here I guess I'm the prude, because I feel like male-female friendships where there isn't attraction is so rare that I've just been so on that side and so happy that they've been building it up that in my head, she never has a smidgen of interest in him at all.
Okay. So then we have, all three of us have different perspectives on this too, because I think when they get into, I think the whole kiss and the arm around thing was not like, oh, this is a way to get Steve to kiss me, was literally tradecraft. Like this is the job. But when they're in the truck and they have this conversation, like the truth is a matter of circumstance. It's not all things to all people all the time. Neither am I. And then he said, and her whole thing is like, oh, it's a good way not to die. And then there's one thing when she looks at him and says, who do you want me to be? I feel like that is the moment, like shipper's delight. Like right there is like the point where she was actually like, if this was going to happen, this would be the time. And I really think like this was as close as it ever come to be like, what are we about? Or what are we going to be? So I feel like that moment is like, that's the will they, won't they? And then Steve says a friend. And then she sort of plays it off as, oh, well, you're in the wrong business. And then from then on it is business. And I'm fully on board with the Nat, Steve, platonic, like they are work colleagues kind of stuff. But I think right there, it could have easily gone the other way, and they could have actually made something happen.
Because there's something so satisfying about how they dodged a bullet, right? Like they didn't become, and that's awesome, but they got to just sort of taste of the forbidden fruit.
Exactly. It was just sort of like this, sort of like, just like almost that wink pass of like, and then just like, okay.
See, and that's so interesting. I think this is
we move on.
The quality of the movie. I saw that the exact opposite way. Because what I saw it is that she is so she has all these different personas. And the who do you want me to be, that to me sounds like I'm not going to show you the real me. You tell me, do you want me to be sultry and seductive? Do you want me to be badass? Like, what do you want me to be? As the defense, as I don't want you to see the vulnerable side. But yeah, I think but your view of it makes total sense to me. I do also just want to focus on the line that you quoted the second half of the exchange, because I love when she's talking about, the truth and the way she lives. And he says, it's a tough way to live. And she says in response, it's a good way not to die, though. Because I also think that's a great way of the fire and ice that you're talking about. Like, he's figuring out how best to live. She's figuring out, like, it's the yin and yang of, like, I want to live. She wants to not die.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we've seen sort of what she's been through, you kind of get it.
So that the entire drive sequence, I know we have collective problems with feet on the dash. I was triggered. I don't care for it.
I got a message from Quentin Tarantino that he was a big fan, but there's one change he would have made.
I did like the idea though that he's not stealing this car, he's borrowing it.
Yes. Right. He'll probably like get it washed and then like leave $20 for the gas that he spent.
Doesn't it probably get wrecked by the missile that's incoming? We'll get to that later, but let's bookmark what happens to this car.
How many cars did we see Steve hijack in Nazi Germany? I think the count is 0. I don't think I actually saw them, but I did like that.
That was off screen. We don't want to see our hero stealing cars. We don't see him steal this one.
Right. That's
for
interesting.
All we know, he like went, hey, would you mind if I borrowed this for a minute?
Mostly because if we saw that, we'd be remembering that German cars in Nazi Germany were BMWs.
Vastly different than.
Well, no, I'm saying they're made by the company that we like to buy.
Right.
Now.
They can't.
That's
they can't
true.
show
That's
us
true.
that.
Yeah.
So we get to the camp. What's up with this? Like, is there a good reason for this moment of him remembering training and the young Rogers looking at him? Because that felt to me kind of like, hey, audience, do you remember they were at this camp? Remember? It felt a little unnecessary in a movie that's mostly subtle, but was there something I was missing?
I think I probably could have pegged that you wouldn't have cared for that. I don't necessarily know why, but maybe it's related to why you're not a fan of the titillation. That I actually thought it was a nice way to remind us that we've been there before, right? We've been there in the first Avenger. We were not just like at the camp. We were in that place watching the people run by. And I thought it was actually kind of an elegant way to demonstrate that and to bring back Skinny Steve as kind of an avatar and give him a chance to sort of linger in that space for a very brief moment. It's not like it's a long, lingering sort of fan service. It's putting us in a place and a time, and I actually was fond of it.
Yeah, it literally happens in a minute. Like it's like that.
Oh, it felt so long to me because I think I agree with you, Pete. I think that's exactly what it's doing. I felt almost like, come on, we know that. It's not like the first movie was 30 years ago. He has said this is where he's from. You don't need to keep hitting us over the head with that. I think him like having that one moment of remembering, the run Rogers run or whatever is fine. But then to have the drill sergeant to show young Steve staring at, I was just like, come on. We're not that stupid of an audience.
See, now I think first of all, this is Captain America 2. So I think like having that to directly make the point, hey, by the way, this is the sequel. I know there's been other movies and there's been Avengers and all of that, but like this is part 2. And so to have Skinny Steve come back and have that thing to be like, this is the exact place where all of that stuff happened, to connect the two movies, I think was good. Plus seeing the flagpole and stuff too. And then having it be, I know we just saw Captain America take out a bunch of dudes in an elevator and then take out a jet all by himself, but also he's still that kid.
Yeah, that's fair.
And he's still in his 20s.
Yeah. That's funny.
I mean, like he's still like he says 95, but he's not.
Right. Well,
right.
Unless we forget,
he skipped
so many years. Unless we forget, Captain America: The First Avenger was not the most popular Avengers movie to date at this point. It is a very Doyleist assumption to say that maybe they want to tell you where this guy came from as efficiently as they can, because this might be your first way into a Captain America movie. And so there is some utility to including this beat to connect to his history.
But he says it in the store and he says it when they get there. And like, it just feels like this is the fourth. I totally agree with you that reminding us of that, it just felt to me like this was the fourth or fifth time we were doing that.
But I think it also ties into what comes next, because we're about to go do a huge flashback and then find out that what we believed is not true. So I think reminding us like this all connects back to something that happened 75 years ago is keeping that top of mind, so that when all this stuff happens, it doesn't come out completely like, oh, this is a techno thriller set in 2014, but there's also this other thing that's been going on that we haven't been telling you.
Okay, that makes sense.
And we don't unfortunately get much in this. We do get the awareness that this is S.H.I.E.L.D. and it's a weird cut between 5 minutes. And we'll have to figure out what comes next when it comes.
Yeah, exactly. And, the fact that Steve reads the manuals comes into play here, too, because he realizes that the building is in the wrong place. You don't store munitions that close to the barracks, because in an attack, if it goes boom, you don't want all the sleeping people to be taken out, too.
That did feel like a very Steve moment, like that he would know the manuals that well.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
But yeah. As we come down the basement and we see there's a big sign on there that says that with the S.H.I.E.L.D. symbol on there, and they say like, oh, this is S.H.I.E.L.D. It's like this is where S.H.I.E.L.D. started.
Yeah,
and that is where the minute ends.
Yeah,
I think this area actually was used in some of the Agent Carter series too. Like they recreated it to be like this was where the OSS, I guess, transitioned over to become S.H.I.E.L.D.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's the minute. What are the big beats? Anything you feel like we've missed?
It's funny because often we'll have these fight minutes that we can go on for an hour about, and then we're like, oh yeah, but we're just talking about the fight scenes. Like with the Hawking, that's where the real depth is. And we're at 30 minutes. We're done.
Yeah, right. Well, I think, and even cinematically, like this one is just shot right across the bow, right? The cutting patterns after we get through the mall, we're in the car. We're in car as confession booth kind of moment. The takes get longer.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Much fewer, many fewer setups than we normally would expect. It's earning a little bit of quiet.
Well, there's obviously there's sexual tension, not just in this podcast, but in the movie as well. So obviously, I think we're all fans of Steve and Peggy, like as the couple. Like we want them, even though circumstances have kept them apart together. But what are your feelings about Natasha? Now, obviously, Natasha is an independent woman. She don't need no man. But like, if you were shipping, who do you put Natasha with in sort of the MCU proper? Like I had a friend who was a die-hard believer in Natasha and Hawkeye.
That was me. Yeah, we've met.
Yeah, all the way, and then suddenly the sudden betrayal of the many betrayals of Age of Ultron.
No, right. So here's the biggest problem that has been resolved for me. I was big into Natasha Hawkeye until I met Linda Cardellini as Hawkeye's wife. And then I started watching DTF St. Louis, and I no longer have a problem with that because she's wicked twisted and Hawkeye needs a break, is all I'm saying. So my fan fiction has collided. And now I can say confidently, I'm back to Hawkeye and Natasha.
Well, apparently I need to watch what's happening in St. Louis because I have been curious about that show. To me now it's even more why I wish they didn't do the titillation, because I thought, again, Natasha and Hawkeye from the beginning, there was never anything there. It was very clearly supposed to be, these are platonic friends. These are like soulmates in some ways, in a friend, because of how much they've been, important in each other's lives. And I remember reading about how part of why they gave Hawkeye a wife was because a lot of people were shipping them. They're like, no, that's not what we're going to do here. To me, Natasha and Bruce are the couple, and I always thought, I mean,
really,
that was kind of pretty established for a while until they kind of went away from it with her kind of non-consensually forcing him back into be the Hulk and stuff like that. But I mean, they definitely set up that flirtation pretty hard.
Oh, they set it up, yeah, but they absolutely set it up. That was Joss. That was his idea. That is not canon. That is not part of any of the comics. That was him just purely going, I want these two to smooch.
I thought, to me, they're another Fire and Ice thing, because he's not out of time he's not a man out of time the way that Steve is, but he's someone who's trying so hard to be cold and calculating and avoid passion and avoid impulse, because that's what leads to the Hulk. And she's the exact opposite. And I feel like they always brought the fact that she had that ability, but to care for him and help bring him back to it. I always thought that was a great, that they had an emotional vulnerability with each other until all the nonsense about I'm a monster too because I can't have children. That was horrific.
Yes.
But no, I love them as a potential couple.
I love that. That's awesome. Okay, Kyle, who's yours?
Bucky. It's Natasha Bucky all the way.
Wow. Do you know, is it weird that I never in a million years would have considered that? And I can see it. That never occurred to me.
Yeah, they had a relationship in the comics and stuff. I mean, not currently, not where we're at in the movie. Not
we're in a different place. Yeah,
Natasha. But the Falcon Winter Soldier, that Bucky. Yeah, absolutely.
You think Steve's open to an open relationship?
Yes.
Steve's already looking for a third.
Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean Grey. If that triangle can work, then this one
can
too.
But that was a bumpy ride.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold them up as the positive representation of polyamory and love triangles.
Okay, that was definitely non-canon part of our conversation. I think
maybe we need to go on to AO3 and find out what the fan what the numbers are. What are the people?
Man, I feel like my pick was so prudish. Both of you guys had much better ones. Mine is just everybody thinks that. Oh, well, I need to be more creative. Nick Fury. It's definitely Nick Fury and Maria Hill.
Now Maria Hill, I can see that.
I can actually see that. Now it's all I can see.
I would write that. I would write that story. Yeah.
Okay. Are we done? Is that it?
We've been done for a while.
This was 5660. Next week, 6165, and we're going to stay in the bunker for a little bit. We've already teased some things that are happening from minutes ago. We're about to see what happens with the AI that rewrites itself.
Please let us know, fans. Which one of the four of us do you think will do the worst German accent in trying to talk about trying to quote lines that we're about to see?
Confirmed. Thank you all for hanging out with us. You can find information about the show at marvelmovieminute.com, and you can subscribe to the show. You can be a member. You can become a member and support the ongoing work. There are so many Marvel movies ahead of us, and we love your support to keep the lights on. And you can get early access to the member-only versions of the show as they release ad-free. Thank you for your support. On behalf of Kyle Olson and Matthew Fox, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll see you next time right here on Marvel Movie Minute.
Let's go. Let's go, Mets!
Enough said.